Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Amazing. Hey, guys, I see that we already have about 85, 90 people in the chat, so don't be shy. We've got a little bit of a chat bar off the side if this is your first GlossGenius webinar. You might be new to this, but if it's not, definitely jump in, say hello. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And so first of all, my name is Nicole. I'm part of the team here at GlossGenius. Thank you so much in advance for carving out some time for this event. We're so excited to dive in. I know you guys are going to get a lot of great sort of information out of this. I think there's a lot we're going to cover. We are going to get into something that basically every single person on this call deals with every day, whether you love it or not. I think it's a very hot topic in our industry, which is marketing. And so we're really excited because today we're not just going to share some inspiration. We're actually going to go deep on the playbooks that an expert has used to build a personal brand, a spa empire, and turn marketing into real trackable revenue, I think most importantly. So before I formally introduce Bree, who you guys can all see here, and I'm sure very excited to hear from, I'm going to just give a little housekeeping note. So again, our chat is there, so definitely feel free to throw your comments, questions, thoughts. We'll try to address them live. We'll also have Q&A time at the end. This is being recorded, so we are going to send out the recording. We will share the replay. If you miss anything, if you have to duck out, don't worry, we've got you there. And then, yeah, we're really excited to, continue to cover those questions as they come up. So go ahead and drop them. But all right, with that, all the housekeeping, let me properly introduce our guest today because her story is an amazing one. Bree Mesquit started her business back in 2017 and built her own waxing studio completely from scratch. Since then, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, she's grown it into a full studio with a team and become one of the most recognized personal brands in the aesthetic space, and started her own line of hard wax supplies, Rebel Wax, which I'm sure many of you guys know and love. She's also been extremely competitive about webinar turnout, so definitely give her a warm welcome. So Bree, thank you so much for being here. We're super excited to have you.
No, I'm so excited. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for having me, first of all. Marketing is my favorite thing in the whole world. It's my love language. So being able to talk about it for an hour is I'm stoked. I can't wait to get started.
What a treat. Okay, we love that. Amazing. Well, I see some folks are already starting to do this, but we always love to ask this question on our GlossGenius webinars. If you could, in the chat, drop your name, where you're based, and what you do. And I think for the sake of today's show, let's also drop your social handle. Maybe we can do a little sort of follow train and kind of get involved with one another. Yes. Thanks to this. I love that idea. Hi, Tony. Thanks for dropping your @ We love that. Amazing, guys. And I see some hellos from Georgia, Ohio, South Carolina, Texas. Hi, Catherine. Amazing, guys. Keep it coming. Dallas, Boston. Oh my God, it's moving too quick.
Wow. This is fun.
Amazing. A lot of Texas in the house. West Virginia. Love that. Hi, guys. Colorado, California, Virginia, Florida. Wow, amazing. Well, hopefully we can make some connections in each other's areas, maybe far beyond that. But definitely keep the love coming in the chat. We love this. Thank you guys for joining us from all over the country. New Jersey.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, awesome, guys. We'll keep it coming. All right, we have a lot of content to get into today, so I'm going to kind of keep the questions rolling. Before we get into Bree's kind of specific advice here, I'd love to get a temperature check in the room. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you guys currently feel about your current marketing strategy? So 1, maybe I really truly have no idea what I'm doing, and a 10 being I could be the guide to this webinar. This could be me. I could be Bree. Tell us what you think. No judgment here. We just want to get a sense of how people are feeling, and maybe we can bring you from a 1 to an 8 or maybe a 10 by the end of this event.
Yes. Amazing. Oh no, we have some negatives.
Not the negatives.
Okay, we're gonna get you in the positives. I promise.
Yes, at minimum, right? We'll get you.
At minimum.
Amazing. All right, guys. So we're seeing a lot of all different kind of stripes here, and that's great. I think those of you guys that are feeling pretty good, hopefully we can give you some things that are going to bring you over the top there. And then those of you guys that need some support, this is a great space. And again, not to continue to harp on this chat idea, but if you have ideas or thoughts or things that have worked for you, this is a great space to share learning. So let's keep that positivity going. Okay. Amazing. So let's take it back to the very beginning. So, Bree, I know like you weren't always where you are now, and everybody in the chat is starting somewhere. So, you started your business back in 2017. I wonder if you can kind of just take us back and talk to us a little bit about like what marketing looked like for you back then.
Yeah, so honestly, it looked pretty similar at a completely different scale though than it does now. There's not a whole lot that's different. It's so heavily focused on social media. So I quickly realized when I got into my first rental and treatment room that I needed to be on social media. That's where people's attention was. It's a free platform for us to be able to utilize. I did not have the funds available to be running any sort of ads or anything like that. So just like now, we rely heavily on social media at a whole different scale and a different volume of
Yeah.
output. But back then it was social media really. And Google business profiles are important, which I know we're going to get into. That's something I wish I would have focused a little bit more. I half did.
Yeah.
But really social media, so
Yeah.
important.
No, completely. And I think, we've seen this at GlossGenius as well, that over time, you know, social media is so critical when it comes to marketing. But I wonder what's different about how you approach it today
Mm.
versus then with like the lens of 2026 and everything that's happening today.
Totally. So back then, I focused more on showcasing my services, and now it's all about personal branding. And anyone I work with one on one coaching, I have them go straight into the personal branding because people really want to buy from people and build that trust and connection online before they feel confident enough to book an appointment and step into your treatment room.
Yeah.
So we don't need, you want to have a mixture of both, but it needs to be heavily focused on you as the service provider and really building up your personal brand, which is just marketing you as yourself and the service provider rather than the focus being on your business name and the services. That
Yeah.
would be the biggest difference for
No,
sure.
we're going to get into some of the tactics that you guys can try to kind of reach that point where you're kind of shifting, the window there. But I also want to double click into something, Brie, that you shared with me when we were preparing for this, which was you recently brought on a brand new waxer and you had some like really tremendous results out the gate thanks to some of this marketing.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that story.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I knew I needed a second body in studio, especially the beginning of summer and all of that. And so I moved forward with hiring someone, and then I started panicking like, how am I going to get her books full? And I'm like, all right, Bree, you better put your money where your mouth is. Let's see if you still got this. So I went all in on everything that I already know to do, that I've been doing, but I also incorporated TikTok, and I was so proud that we got her fully booked her first shift, fully booked, and then fully booked for 80%, I would say, for the rest of the week. And now at this point, after the 30-day mark, or right at 30 days, we're at 400 new clients for our studio.
So
All of
incredible.
that was TikTok. It was TikTok and our Google business profile, but TikTok. So that's
Yeah.
a new platform that I've incorporated for our studio specifically, and it's incredible.
I love that. No, and I think a testament to how experimentation can sometimes really help you, stay ahead and even, bring home big results like that. So we're going to get more into, what it takes to kind of have results like that specifically. But let's first kind of dive in, I think, to the personal branding shift, because I think this kind of overarching concept is where people maybe are leaving a little bit of money on the table right now. So,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, Bria. Obviously, you said this is the biggest shift since 2017 that you've experienced, which I think a lot of folks who've been close to this world would agree with you. Break this down for us. What does that actually look like for you day to day when it comes to marketing your business?
Yeah, so day to day, I mean, the first biggest shift though, I have to backtrack a little bit. It was 2023. I hired a business coach. He does hundreds of millions in revenue yearly. He's incredible. But that was the first thing he had me do was take our business Instagram, because it's Lash and Wax OC, and switch it to my name. And I was so terrified to do that. So he was the first one that really introduced me to the importance of personal branding. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm posting more insight into my life, storytelling, sharing my journey, sharing the hardships I'm going through now, sharing the wins, just sharing me. you know? And so for a service provider, that would be like, what's your day look like? What do you do on your days off? Like, what's people's favorite waxer up to on the weekends? Are you floating the river? Are you in a run club? Like, what are your hobbies? So it's really showcasing more of yourself and always still tying it back to your business and your services. But clients, that the right people find you and connect with you before they ever step foot in the treatment room.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, I think one of the key things, and you will kind of touch on this a little bit, is the trust that builds, right? It's like
Yes.
we start to know you and we kind of start to feel comfortable with you as clients before we ever even consider booking. And I think in today's like super crowded environment, there's so many different things that are trying, to get your attention. That trust is like everything.
It is. It really is. The know, like, trust factor. It's so incredibly important. And it starts on your social media.
I love that. And then I'm curious, if you were to give advice to somebody who maybe they've never considered this before, where would you recommend that they start to kind of make this shift solid for their business?
Okay, you got to show up on camera. You have to like face to camera. So if you're not yet comfortable with maybe talking to the camera, which I highly encourage, but if you're not yet there, filming B-roll with you in it, and then even doing voiceovers. So just really, and then sharing a little bit about your likes. Like, there's so many trends too. This is what's fun, is
Yeah.
like you can go through the Reels tab or TikTok and see the trends that are going on that you can just mimic and showcase whatever it is that relates to you. So for example, there's one going around I posted yesterday. It was like pretty chic that I created a product line or something like that. So you could put like pretty chic that I go snowboarding, or I don't know
Sure.
why snowboarding. It's very hot here right now, so I don't know why snow's on
Just
the brain, but just sharing your personality and your likes and dislikes and showing up on camera. Another good way to do that, if you are really nervous to talk to the camera at first, is carousel post. So that's actually an example of one there. It's like taking a picture of yourself with storytelling or whatever you want to say, text on screen in a carousel, but it's still putting a face to the name and the business, and then still sharing your story or sharing your thoughts or ideas or education or whatever it is you want to share with your clients.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm curious, quick show of hands in the chat. I see some people reacting. How many of you guys are already starting to show your face on your social media, maybe doing some of these kinds of videos? And some of you guys, raise your hand if you're not. Basically, virtual hand. Let's see. Okay, starting. Love it. I'm trying. Great. Not yet. That's okay. I totally hear you. And I think what Bree is sharing is so helpful, right? Where it doesn't all have to be speaking videos. I love this idea of voiceovers. I love this idea of the carousel posts, static images, right? Where you're still showing your expertise, your perspective. There are creative ways to do it for those of us who, it doesn't feel super organic, that honestly are like pretty scalable. Like you can do them without a ton of work, which is also incredible.
Totally. One thing I want to say real quick too about this, because I feel like a lot of people aren't showing up because they're waiting to be a certain person before they feel ready to show up, but that's not how it works. You gain the confidence by showing up, putting the reps in, and then the confidence comes from doing. You're never going to be able to build the confidence to be on social media by not showing up and being on social media. Embarrassment is the price of admission to this. I wish I would have ahead of time sent some of my first posts. They were terrible. I was 85 pounds heavier than I am now, but I still showed up. No makeup, hair a mess, I call it a turd bun, not put together at all. I was a mom of 3 young children, but I still showed up. And that made me relatable. Like it made me more relatable. So don't feel like you have to become this influencer and Instagram star in order to start showing up. That's not relatable to your clients. Your clients aren't that. So we don't need to show up as that in order for them to trust us. They actually will trust you almost even more when you show up so relatable to what they are experiencing in their own life, oftentimes as well.
I love that. And I love it. That seems to be resonating with a lot of folks. I think, definitely to your point, being you is your greatest asset, right? And so your clients, your existing clients love you for who you are, right? And a lot of them are interested to learn more about you, and what has attracted the clientele you have is going to help you attract more clients down the road
Yeah,
too. So, um,
absolutely.
Bree, I know you mentioned this to me when we were preparing for this, that sometimes inspiration for what those early videos or early pieces of content, the carousels, can be comes from the treatment room. And I'm curious if you have any like thoughts on that, and how those conversations you're having a lot can really help you come up with some great ideas.
Oh my gosh, yes. You guys need to have a notepad in your phone or even old school pen and paper near your wax pot, and any conversations. I know we can all relate to this as service providers. There's themes with our client every day. I feel like on Monday, I'm talking all about like whatever show was popular or whatever. And I have that same conversation with every client, or maybe clients are coming in and they're asking the same questions, or experiencing the same issues. I always jot those repeated conversations that I'm having, or even questions that I'm being asked, even if it's a singular time. I'm writing it down and it gets turned into a piece of content.
Yeah.
So all your conversations in the treatment room should be inspiring pieces of content, because if they're talking about it, they're asking about it, they have concerns about it. That's the biggest thing too. What are
Yeah.
people's pain points? Position yourself as the solution. But if they're thinking it, others are thinking it too. And that could be the thing that's going to make them make the decision to finally say, okay, yes, I'm ready to book with her.
Yeah, I love that. And I think another thing, when we talk about readiness to book, so critical that your social media platforms are set up for instantaneous booking. So, for those of you guys who already use GlossGenius, making sure that you have your GlossGenius booking link right up there, ready to go, so that people can click it and immediately book with you once they're having that connection. This person understands my concerns. This person is interested in the same things that I am. I think that handoff matters a lot. So just something to keep in mind as well.
So important.
So important. Amazing, guys. Well, I know we kind of alluded a little bit to Google already, but I'm excited to kind of chat a little bit about this side of the coin. And obviously, social media is critical. This isn't the last time we're going to talk about social media in this session. We have a little bit more later on. But it's also really important to pay attention to search, which is super critical to people's discovery journey when it comes to finding new service providers, and really how you show up in the client's discovery journey. So, this is something that Bree definitely believes a lot of people underuse. At GlossGenius, we share this belief. I think it's super important. The Google business profile is really critical, and how you can leverage local keywords to help build your brand there. So, Bree, you kind of already mentioned that this is something that you weren't paying attention to. So, what changed since you weren't paying attention to this?
Yeah, well, I mean, we get so many more bookings. Our number one, well, that's why I love Gloss, and I'm so glad I made the switch. And I wish I would have made the switch a lot sooner, because the analytics are incredible, especially when new clients book. It automatically asks where they found me or where they found our studio. And now I've trained my girls, and if I was solo, I would make sure I'm doing this. That if that is not filled out, that's their number one goal, is to make sure that's filled out for every single new client. So then I can go back and pull analytics, and the number one place that we're getting new clients. Now TikTok may have surpassed, just because we had kind of that freak time of where I was going all in on it, but
Yep.
it's Google.
Yeah.
Google is the number one place where people are finding you. It's high intent clients. They are not deciding whether or not they want this service. They've already decided they want this service. They're trying to figure out who they're going to book that service with.
Yep. I think it's such a great point. And so, I think a lot of people on this call have already claimed their Google profile. I think that's probably safe to say. A lot of you guys have already kind of been on this, but probably a lot of you haven't touched it since you took that initial action when you started your business. Could have been years ago at this point. So, Bree, if you were to recommend a few things to do this week to just optimize your status on search, what would you suggest?
Yes. Okay. Pen and paper. Here's action steps for you guys. Write these down. So first thing is please make sure your location is up to date. Oh my gosh, I've had so many that are not up to date. So location is up to date. These are the very basic, get it ready, easy things you guys can do as soon as you log off this webinar. Get your hours up to date. And anytime you have any changes in your hours, you got to make sure you're updating that on your Google business profile as well. Add your top 3 to 5 favorite photos of both yourself and your studio. And Google does prioritize high, like, not production, I'm losing the word I'm looking for, but you want them to be really nice photos. On
Yeah.
Instagram or social media, I'm like, just be more real and raw. Google does prioritize those like nicer, more professional. You can still accomplish that with your phone, but you want nice lighting and everything to look well. So upload your first 3 to 5, making sure that you are in that picture. So a really nice headshot. Then I would recommend changing your business name. For example, ours is Rebel Wax Studio. And then, oh shoot, okay, I might be wrong on this, but so like Brazilian waxing or
Yeah.
Brazilian waxing Oregon or best
Yeah.
Brazilian wax. I'm incorporating keywords into our business name because that's like an SEO driver there. Those would be the first, and then go through and personally text every single client you've ever seen and ask them to leave a review and send them that link. But that needs to be connected with your GlossGenius. So if you guys aren't on GlossGenius yet, like, you just need to transfer over. I'm telling you, it's been the best decision I've made for my studio, but it automatically will text your clients afterwards asking for the review, and you can connect your Google page. So make sure your Google business profile is connected with Gloss.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
Brazilian Waxing Bend, Oregon. Thank you for pulling that up. I was like,
No, I was like, I'm gonna let you. I wonder if you'll get it. You were super close.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I think like what I love about, and this is something we talked about earlier too, the constant stream of new reviews is super important as well. So like to your point with GlossGenius, the fact that you're able to prompt after every appointment means that you're gonna have new reviews on a constant basis, which is I think so helpful to kind of keeping that profile feeling really fresh. Something you mentioned, and I've kind of chatted with other owners about this over time too, and I just think it's such a great concept. If you're close with your clients, which I'm sure many of you are, asking them, hey, can you use some specific terms in your review? Can you name our town? Can you name the service you got? Can you name, just some specific keywords related to where you live? I think can be really critical. And Bree, you mentioned this too, that responding to reviews with those terms is really good too. And you control that piece, which is
oh my gosh, so important. Yeah, do you want me to go into that like super quickly?
Yes,
Okay, guys. So first, like, get pen and paper out again. Let's come up with what your keywords are. So for us, I'm located in Bend, Oregon. So simply write down right now the town that your studio is located in and the state. That's it. There's your first keywords. Then what is your main service? For us, it's Brazilians. We offer full body waxing, but we heavily market on Brazilians. So it's Brazilian waxing. That's it. So now we have our key terms. So I want you guys to write that down real quick. City, state, and main service that you use. We cannot use terms that we use as professionals. Not many people are going to be looking at wax specialist or esthetician. They're looking up the service that they want done. Lash lift, eyelash extensions, Brazilian wax. They're not looking up esthetician. So stop using those as SEO terms. And then when it comes to the review, so you want to prompt your client then. So I'm going to use my terms. Hey, do you mind when in your review incorporating in Bend, Oregon and Brazilian wax? Something along the lines of, I'm so glad I found this studio located in Bend, Oregon. I had the best first time Brazilian wax I've ever had, or something like that. Yeah. Also in your responses to the reviews, which you need to be responding to every single review, because this is an area where you can, first of all, give a good client experience, but also be plugging in SEO. Comment in that way. So I would say something along the lines, thank you, Jessica, so much for coming into our studio here in Bend, Oregon. I'm so glad that you felt so comfortable and trusting enough to trust us with your first Brazilian wax. Something like that. So incorporate those SEO terms. But I hope you guys at minimum have your specific SEO terms. Maybe they can share in the chat here if you guys figured yours out.
Pop quiz, right? So if you guys took those notes, what would your SEO terms be? And Bree's high level advice here was city, state, and your top service or top couple services, right? That you're really a specialist in.
If they're very different, so for us during the summer, it's very much Brazilian waxing. During the winter, we see a decline, so it's more brow lamination. So those are the only two we'll kind of change between. Besides that, it's always just so singularity of focus, Bend, Oregon, Brazilian waxing. We get them in and then they discover the other services naturally that we have, or they go through our website and they'll book other waxes as well.
Yep. Amazing. I see some good
Thanks.
keywords. Fanwood NJ eyelash extensions. Perfect. Great, guys. Yeah. I think we're getting the idea here, right? So really specific, what are the things that you specialize in, and then your city and your state. Those are going to be the most helpful things to include.
Yes. One thing real quick, and then I'll stop. I know I'm getting us off track, but like seeing massage therapist or that's the person. We're looking to name the service. So we don't want to name us as the provider or the person. So we're not a body waxer. We are, but that's also not many people are going to look up full body waxing. They're looking up the specific service that they want. So which service? Brazilian wax, bikini wax, underarm wax, eyebrow wax. We don't want to make it broad. We got to get super narrow on this. But these are great. This is such a great start.
Exactly. And I think just to put a fine point on it too, think about the buyer journey, right? Like if I'm a prospective client, how am I finding what I'm looking for? And I think that kind of helps you think about, what are the things that someone might be Googling, right? And why these particular terms are the most helpful ones. So great advice here. And then, Bree, really quickly, I know on the Google side, we also talked about posting, which is I think this was like a revelation for me. I had not really heard people speak on this. So a little bit about posting on Google and what that means.
Yeah. So you guys can post on Google. There's actual postings available. So I don't have it in front of me right now, but you can do an update, you can do a promo, or you can do just a general post. Now we're not necessarily posting. We want to write it as if potential clients are reading it, but we're really posting this to, again, be able to keep our Google profile up to date. Google loves updates. So when you're active on there on a daily and a weekly basis, your first goal, you need to rank top 3. So when you type in Brazilian wax, Bend, Oregon, you've got to be ranked in that top 3 in order to really be utilizing this to bring in new clients. But in order to do that, you need to be up to date, and doing post is one of the ways. Collecting reviews and posting is some of the best ways to be able to do that. So in your posts, you want to incorporate those SEO terms that we just discovered, but along with very local activities that people are doing during that season. So for example, before you float the Deschutes River this summer when visiting Bend, Oregon, make sure to get a Brazilian wax at Rebel Wax Studio located in Bend, Oregon. So I'm very organically and naturally incorporating those SEO terms while adding some other local, either activity-based or locational. So locational could also be like Deschutes River is locational. We have Mount Bachelor, Old Mill. It's a shopping center down here that's popular. So that's another piece of homework that's too much to do right this second, but start writing all those things down. And then high level, you can train, a project in ChatGPT, where now at this point, my team, we have a full project. I've already prompted it. They just say, give me 7 posts for this week. 4th of July is coming up, and then Chat knows exactly our SEO terms and everything.
Incredible. Yeah, there's so many amazing tools out there today that can help you really kind of do this at scale, which is like so critical. And we'll talk more about how you're able to do all this without burning out, but I think that's a great one to kind of put a bug in people's ears. I also want to just, before we kind of move on here on the topic of SEO, websites are also really important when it comes to this. And I think very high level with GlossGenius, your ability to edit and customize your site to kind of really include those key terms in your About Me section, having your services really clearly listed in a very searchable way is super helpful here too. So, again, the other, advantage of GlossGenius is you're able to not only make sure that those reviews are getting in, but you've got the SEO optimized website that comes with every subscription. And you're able to book through the Google My Business profile too. So it kind of creates a really complete buyer journey and takes people from discovery to booking really, really quickly, which I think is a critical piece here too.
Oh, so much so. And it's so user friendly. Like, I believe it or not, I'm actually not very techie. I'm really not. I just know how to hire the right people to help me in those areas. So it might look like I am, but I'm not. And GlossGenius website, I was able to do all of that. And it was super easy, and it works. It really works. And our clients love it. I love it as a client. I book at my own studio for myself and my daughters. And I'm like, this
Yeah.
is just so easy. When I go and book my nails or something else, you have to download an app. I have to remember my username. It's so much friction that
Yep.
GlossGenius does not create, and that friction will lose you more clients than you can even track. So
Yep.
just cite
No,
that one.
such a good point. And I think to just kind of double click on that, for those of you guys who maybe have a booking site that isn't GlossGenius, most other platforms out there are going to require your clients to have a login, a password, or even sometimes, to make matters even worse, an app download before they're able to book with you, which is an unbelievably complex journey that, to Bree's point, is going to lose you clients. With GlossGenius, there's no logins, no passwords, and a very, very frictionless booking flow. So yeah, in the spirit of maximizing your outcomes for all of this hard marketing work you're doing, it's going to help you get there a lot faster, which I love.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, I'm really excited to kind of dive into our next section here, which is about content pillars. So to kind of walk through what that means. So, hopefully you guys are starting to get inspired to post more, but I know that the question of how do I sustainably keep this up is something that comes up a lot, and it's super valid. It's a really obvious, and clear issue that a lot of people face. We all have limited time, right, to get everything done. So let's talk a little bit about content themes and content pillars, which this is, a way to kind of help people get unstuck. You might be like, I want to post, but I don't know what to post. And Bree, I know you mentioned that you keep, content calendar. So walk us through how you think about this and, kind of building, a system that doesn't break down every time you need to post.
Yeah. So one thing I like to do is so let's go over some of the pillars. So authority is going to be more of your education and showing how you are an expert in what it is that you do. So if it's waxing specifically, it can be like what you're doing, how to prep for your first wax or aftercare to do, those types of things. Ooh, I like these. Thank you for putting these off. And then trust and so I kind of skipped over here to trust and authority and proof. So then we have our reviews and client testimony. This is why Google reviews are so important, because you can use them in so many different ways. And you just screenshot those. Then you have proof. So proof is someone else saying what it is that you're trying to tell people, but now someone else is saying it on your behalf. So like a review, instead of saying, I'm the best Brazilian waxer in Bend, Oregon, now we have clients and other people telling that for us. So trust, authority, proof, connection, and brand building. This is going to be more of the personal stuff. So we talked about personal branding before. So you can do the fun trends on these, just in order, though, with a very specific goal in mind, though, to showcase your personality, your style of humor, relatability, because some of these trends are very like you customize it to what's true to you. So it shows off maybe your hobbies or your likes, your dislikes. So make sure you're kind of careful or intentional about which trends you decide to follow. We don't just want to do every trend under the sun. Then you're going to have your lead generation and growth. These are going to be the posts, and this is the majority of the posts that you're going to be doing, is where assume people are coming across you for the very first time and they don't know you, they don't know who you are, they don't know your business, what services you provide. Those are going to be the posts that you want to focus heavily on too, because the goal of our social media is to bring in new clients. Once people have booked with us, they're already bought in. So don't ever feel like you're going to be annoying people. There's people that I have followed and then I end up taking their coaching or buying something from them. And then their social media kind of starts to annoy me because I've heard the same thing over and over. So maybe I will mute them, but it doesn't matter because I'm already spending money with their business. So like, we need to keep that in mind too. Like they got me. Like it's okay. You're going to be repeating yourself. People need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. And most people are coming across you for the first time. Then you have your sales and conversion. So that's where you're just straight up asking for the sale. You're asking them to book. You're asking them to purchase product. You're asking them to do something and take an action.
Yeah, no, I love this. And I think there's this big misconception in our space that you need to be inventing a brand new idea every single day, right? That is just coming out of thin air and that's what you have to post. And, I think what I love about an idea like this, which by the way, guys, if you haven't already screenshot this slide or taken notes on it, I highly recommend you do, because this could be the map for your social strategy from now until forever. It's so easy to kind of start thinking about ideas and brainstorming when you have a structure around, what it is that you really need to accomplish on social media.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And don't feel like you have to be posting every single day right now. Start with something. Consistency is the most important thing. So 3 times a week, commit to that. And showing up on your stories daily, though, that's something you can do. Doesn't need to be polished. You're just bringing behind the scenes. So
yeah, love that. I think it's such a good point. Like, just getting started is the most important part. And
yes.
3 times a week is very, very manageable for most people.
Yes.
And so I would love to talk a little bit about measuring what's working. And so, I know a lot of people will get really hyper focused on certain things like view counts or just something that they think is what they should be looking at. But Bree, what would you kind of say are the metrics that you're paying the most attention to when you're trying to evaluate what to do more or less of on social media?
Yeah. So views mean nothing. I'll give an example. We have one that's at like 24 million views. And I think we actually did end up taking it down because it just completely hit the wrong audience. It did not bring in wax sales. It did not bring in any new clients. Like, it just was crazy amount of views, which at first we're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. No, it didn't do anything for us. So what we're looking at is I'm looking at engagement. I use ManyChat. So anytime they comment a trigger word, then it sends them the link to either book or to purchase product. So I'm looking at how many times was that trigger or that word commented. And then from that, I can go in my back end and see were their purchases made. So that is a little bit higher level because I have ManyChat set up, super easy and user friendly. I highly recommend all of you guys to have that connected. But that's what I'm looking for is like what translated over to actual sales. So you can see that through comments. Sometimes you can see that through bookings. What I like to do, especially when I was in the studio, like every day when my new waxer started, when clients came in and I saw that they were booking through TikTok, then I asked them, what post specifically got you in? What made you say yes? What made you trust us and book that appointment? So asking your clients questions, and then I knew which ones I'm like, ooh, okay, now I'm going to do more of that type of content, either repost it exactly as it is or just make slight tweaks. So I don't really pay attention to views. I really don't, unless it's high views to the right audience. Then perfect. Then we hit a gold mine. But I'm looking for that engagement. I'm looking for the comments. I'm looking for people saying, I'm so excited. I just booked my first appointment with you. That's the gold mine that we're looking for.
I love that. And I think, one question I always think is a good one, which is, when something does hit that way, where suddenly you're like seeing returns, what's your move? What do you do to try to capitalize on that?
Throw some ad money behind it, promote it, and throw some money. It could be $5. It could be $5 a day for 5 days. But put money behind it. You hit the right audience, it's promoting bookings, put money behind it, and then dissect it and say, why do I think that this did well? And this is where I would even screenshot, upload it to ChatGPT and be like, help me break down why this did well so I can repeat this format in the future.
Yeah. You told me about this specific post that I thought was kind of brilliant, which was literally just a screenshot. Can you tell everybody that story? That was amazing.
You guys, I would say probably over 200 of our new clients came from this. I was sitting in my studio. I knew I needed to post. I was out of ideas. So I screenshotted my maps of Bend. So just on my phone, I pulled up my maps and then I circled Bend and I said, do you live here? Or do you live in Bend, Oregon? Because SEO matters on TikTok and Instagram as well. And then it
Yeah.
was a carousel over to a picture of my waxers. Are you looking for a non-judgmental, first-timer friendly Brazilian wax studio? And then over to the third slide, we are offering a $35 new client Brazilian promo. Book now. That was it. It was so low effort, and I'm not exaggerating when I say we got over 200 clients from that post.
It's incredible. Yeah, sometimes it's the simple things that work. In the spirit of this, I'm curious, throwing this question to you guys, what was maybe the lowest effort post or maybe even just a surprising post that you made that ended up overperforming and delivering a ton of new clients? I see some people in the chat talking about how sometimes those like funny or silly posts are the ones that like will suddenly hit and get a lot of people booking. I'm curious if anybody has a specific example of something that like was totally surprising and really worked. Okay, Monica, clients love the funny ones too because it shows our personalities to the point of personal.
Yes.
Yep. Let's see. The funny ones when I wax my daughters. Oh my gosh, that does sound funny. Gratitude posts, love that. Amazing. Armpit videos. You waxers know more about this than me. That's great. Oh, I love this. Raquel shared reactions on makeup applications on bridesmaid, mother, bride and groom, grandmother of the bride. That's really cool. I love that idea, right? Like you might not expect that the face of makeup itself maybe isn't the thing that drives the sort of traffic, but seeing people's reaction to it. That's so special. I love that idea.
You have to create some sort of emotion, whether you make people cry or laugh. Those are the two things that you're going for. So through storytelling, through reactions, those are always going to do so well.
I love that. I love that. Great ideas in the chat, guys. Keep them coming. And I know, I think the whole kind of idea and what we're encouraging guys to do here is when you find something that works, scale it. Don't feel like you need to just retire a good idea because you have one hit out the gate. To Bree's point, maybe put a little spend behind it, maybe think about a way to reinvent it and do it all over again. I think there's a lot of great ideas here, and things that we can keep leveling up. So amazing. Well, let's talk a little bit about marketing without burning out, because I think this is a question we hear a lot. And I know it's on a lot of people's minds right now, which is, I'm too busy. I barely have time to provide services, let alone market the services. And so Bree, like you built this system on your own, especially at the beginning. How did you find the time? How did you, carve out the space for marketing?
This requires first a mindset shift, because when you guys decide to go solo and open up your business, you're actually the service provider secondarily to being a marketer now. So I think that's something people don't take into consideration when they go solo, is like, you're not mainly a service provider anymore. So we can't have the excuse of I don't have time. Then you need to adjust your service schedule to incorporate this into your working time, because it's the most important thing. So first thing I recommend is having an admin day. I always had my coaching clients choose one admin day, at least a 4-hour block, depending on what it was that they were needing to accomplish. Like maybe some of my coaching clients were newer. They only need 2 hours. Some needed 4, some needed a 6 to 8 hour day. Then you choose which day this is going to be. And this is where it's the beauty of you being your own business owner. Do you want this to be on a day that you're not taking clients, and it's an admin day? Or do you want true days off from your business altogether, which is almost impossible? We're always thinking about our business, right? But if you want true days off, then maybe you do your admin a 4-hour block prior to taking clients for the day. But pick a day, schedule that in, and that is your time. And then from there, you're going to need some sort of way to track the tasks that you need to be doing on a weekly basis. I personally use Asana. You can just use your calendar on your phone, but I put in that every, like, what was today? My team was just in here. So we were scheduling out content on it, actually. So we have a calendar and our to-do list, and then we're just attacking it one thing at a time. Admin day is not the time to sit down and then, okay, wait, what did I need to do? Your list needs to be created, and you're doing your Google business post. You're responding to your Google reviews. You're doing website edits. If there was like, oh, I want to update that picture, now's the time to update that picture. So, and then marketing, of course. So you're going to be shooting content throughout your week of just being in the treatment room. This is why I love in real time content. For example, we had a client come in to our studio brand new, and then she told us when she was leaving that the reason why she booked with us was because she didn't feel judged and she felt like we were really genuinely like nice people. So then when she left, I got straight on my phone and I said, we just got the sweetest compliment from this client. She was feeling like she would be judged. You'll never feel that way stepping into Rebel Wax Studios. If you're in Bend, you're looking for a go-to waxer, come book with us. I did not worry about editing it at that point, writing a caption, posting it. I just caught that thought in real time. You guys can be taking pictures, filming B-roll, and then on your admin day, that's where you're going through editing, writing the captions, and scheduling out the post for the week.
Love
that was long-winded. I apologize.
Oh, that's incredible, and I think great advice. And I think, to your earlier point, again, doesn't have to be 5 posts a week. It can be 3. It doesn't have to be 7. It can be start where you're comfortable, and then I think you can grow from there. But once you've started to carve out the time, kind of getting that consistency is a lot easier, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And you get better and better, just like with waxing. When you first start, you probably weren't laying the prettiest strips. It probably took you a while. It's going to be the same with this. It's going to take a while. It's going to be hard. It's going to feel like it's a little bit of a battle, and you're going to get better and better. Like, for example, we started off with posting 3 times a week, and now we're at 4 times a day on 3 different accounts. It's crazy. So you guys can do it too, but it's starting off with something that's manageable, sustainable. Do not rely on motivation, because I hope you guys are very motivated after you get off this webinar. But once you get down and dirty and in the nitty gritty, that motivation is going to wear off. So do not commit right now. Oh, Bree posts 4 times a day, let me do that. No, commit to what you will sustain for the long term, for the next 3 to 6 months. Pick something that you're going to actually follow through on.
I love that. Yeah. Start with a winnable goal, right? Something that you can actually accomplish. And then I know we've obviously talked a bunch about social media. We've talked about search. I think there's some other things that people can do that in a lot of ways are like very scalable, right? Like it's kind of, things that maybe you can do with like a very short amount of your time every week or kind of on an ongoing basis. 2 thoughts that come to mind are working with other people locally and people in your community, and also your own clients. So Bree, I wonder if you could share a little bit about those strategies as well, just briefly, other things that people can try.
Yeah. So utilizing Gloss's email marketing is number 1 that you guys can be doing on your admin day. It takes 10 minutes tops. So email marketing, super, super important. So you want to be marketing to your current client list. You guys have all your clients, their information easily accessible with Gloss. Sending out the email, do that. So we do that once a week. We have 1 email a week that goes out, asking your clients for referrals. Like, this is a huge part of marketing, is just asking them for referrals. So we do a send me 3, get 1 for free. 100% worth it. So that's great. We actually just had 2 people so far this week, and it's Tuesday, who have hit their 3rd and they got their free. So that's really important. Plugging in locally to your community, but in things that you already naturally like to do. So if there's anything like, I don't know, I have a dachshund, so I'm just thinking like, if there was like a dachshund meetup, like take your dachshunds on a walk by the river, like I would totally go do that and wear my, I have one of my studio shirts on, and wear that and ask people, hey, what do you do? And naturally, they're going to ask what you do, and just kind of get out there in your community naturally, but really utilizing your current clientele is going to be so huge. Don't be afraid to ask. You're not bugging anybody.
No.
Like, they're happy to support you.
No, I love that. I think that's such a really important point. And, I think in a world where there's so many algorithms and we're so focused on social, sometimes we forget about the clients we already have, right? And how much they're, willing to be activated, how much opportunity exists in that client list. But then also, the power of in-person connection, just being you, marketing yourself, right, out in the community. So I thought those 2 ideas were also brilliant ones that should not be forgotten, even in the social world.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we have one last section here before we're going to kind of get into the quick Q&A. Hopefully we'll save a little bit of time. We talked a little bit earlier about Bree, your new waxer, whose book was filled up basically overnight, which was amazing. And we've talked about the whole system. I'm curious how marketing works a little bit differently once you have a team and you have service providers. How have you thought about that? What's your philosophy there, and how do you involve them in that effort too?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So for my service provider specifically, just going in, monthly is great, but you can even do this quarterly if you're really efficient. Going in, getting pictures of them, having B-roll. I do, if I see anything like fun, trendy pop up on TikTok, I know the strengths of each of my waxers. One does amazing with TikTok voiceovers. One, she's trying and she's willing to do it, but she does great, like doing some B-roll. She can do a talking head video. So I'll send it to them. We have a Salon iPhone. I'm like, hey, film this in between, when they have time between clients, send it my way. We do the editing and all of that. So that's one way I utilize them. We will go into studio and do headshots and pictures and in-action photos for our Google business profile, can be used for Instagram. And then I'm really good at documenting my processes and the way I do things so that I can delegate that to a team member. So utilizing well, this might be a little high level, but when you have like a media team, just documenting so they can do the same process as you.
Yeah, I love that. I know you mentioned too that a really important piece of kind of making sure that the return on investment for your marketing is actually happening is tracking rebooking rates, which I thought was such an interesting point. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, our waxers are required to be out of 70%. Like that's our goal. Now, if they drop below that, I'm not like, you're out, you're fired. That is not what I'm doing, but that is, everyone knows, and we have that same goal in mind. And that's more important than even top line revenue, product sales, any of it. It's rebooking. Because if I feel that as a business owner, marketing is my job. I don't put that onto my waxers. Is it great that they join in and help with that goal? Yes, but that's my job. Their job is, once they have the clients in, that they're providing an excellent client service and that they are representing our brand well. The clients are happy and that they are wanting to rebook and tell their friends about us. That's my waxers. That's their job. So rebooking is so incredibly important. If it's falling below that, there's something's wrong and we need to find out what that is so we can fix it.
Yeah, I think it's such a critical point that, your marketing is only as good as what shows up in your end metrics, right? And so
Yes.
this point around, how do you keep everybody accountable to it and being really careful to track that specific metric, I think is a really great takeaway for you guys who are maybe unsure where to start when it comes to understanding, hey, is all this marketing I'm doing actually paying off for my larger business? So
like super tactically on a daily basis, what I do is I go through their books and I look at what their rebooking rate was for the day, and then I put it as a personal block at the bottom of the calendar, and I just write rebooking 68 point whatever, so that on a daily basis it's always top of mind. We're always looking at that. So you guys can do that for yourself too. Make that part of your closeout process or system, is calculate your rebook rate before you go into your next day.
I love that. Great point. Amazing. Well, I know we're getting close to time, which is crazy. Time really flies. This was great. But before we kind of bring up our little Q&A section, I want to kind of bring this back a little bit full circle. And so Bree, you recently had posted about a $24,000 plus revenue month. And what struck me about that post wasn't just the number, it was kind of the story behind the revenue itself, the systems behind it. Can you tell everybody a little bit about that situation and, hopefully inspire them a bit too?
Yeah. So honestly, we were able to hit that by bringing in the second waxer, and then me just going all in on marketing and having focused so much of our time of the rebooking. So that's how we were able to hit that number. And that was actually, now that's outdated because this month we hit 26,000. So we're constantly climbing, and the amount of time this is something doable for you as a solo waxer, because my girls are technically part-time and we actually have them booked out for longer service times and really needs, like if I was in the treatment room again, I could be seeing the amount of clients both of them are taking to like as just me, and not be like completely overworking myself. So you guys can do it, but all it takes is focusing on the right numbers, the right data, which is that rebooking, consistently be working towards bringing new clients in. Even if you're like, well, I'm booked, I'm doing good. It doesn't matter. You need to keep marketing. Maybe you got to tone it down a little bit, but keep marketing, and just providing a really great experience for people. It's being consistent in the really boring operations behind the scenes on a daily basis. It's being consistent in that.
I love that. And I would just say too, for those of you guys who aren't using GlossGenius yet, you know, we talk about the boring operations at GlossGenius. That's kind of our specialty, just taking those things and systematizing them for you and taking a lot of the admin work that it takes to keep a business moving and keep, you know, sort of visibility into your rebooking metrics, understand how your business is performing. You know, we talked about email marketing. We talked about a lot of other features that help kind of automate your booking and rebooking to really continue that growth of your business. So my recommendation to everybody in the room, if you don't have a system that's doing all of this great work for you, consider GlossGenius. And so I'll just share briefly, there's a little QR code on the screen. Gabriella also just shared the link in the chat. If you're curious about GlossGenius and getting a system that's going to automate a lot of this admin work for you so that you can earn more, focus on what matters, like marketing and being creative there, definitely schedule a free demo, learn a lot more about the platform. You can do it again by scanning this little code, clicking the link. You can spend time with a person on our team who will really speak to you about your business, your goals, and how you can get there. So all that being said, we'll flash it up again at the end too, so you guys have it. But if you haven't already checked this out, now's your time. Now's your cue.
No, seriously. So I know I've talked about, I have a pretty large team, but they don't have to put much focus on the studio at all because of GlossGenius taking over the admin. They're on the product side. So you guys can absolutely achieve what we've achieved with doing it yourself because of GlossGenius's systems that are already built. Systems are so boring. So GlossGenius does a great job at that. Seriously.
We take care of them and we make it look pretty too, which is important.
Just utilize it, and that's all you got to do.
I love that. Amazing. Well, guys, let's open up to questions. We have a few minutes. I'm sure there's a lot of them. I'm going to flip over to our questions tab really quick, and Bree, I'll share some good questions with you. And then, okay, Brielle has a great one, which is, what do you do when your rebooking rate or an individual team member's rebooking rate has dropped? How do you audit what's working, what's not, kind of right the ship and get things in a better place?
I'll try to like rapid fire this one, but these are important. So first, you need to have a solid script at checkout that they are very clear on and that they are actually saying, because having a script versus it being used. And then if there are people who are not rebooking right then and there, I require my girls to then write down the reason why or put it into the client notes. Maybe during the summer, it's dropped a little bit because you have a lot of college students back in town and then they're going to be leaving. So they might just really actually not be in town anymore. Maybe there's people who are here on vacation, but I have my girls track that, so we're not using that as an excuse of, well, just no one, they're not going to be in town. That maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but I need those facts. So first, check on what's the script, does it need to be changed up or optimized in any way, and then what's the reason why people aren't rebooking.
Yeah, I love that advice. Another rapid fire one for you. So Amy asked, I post on social media and get the views, but I feel like I don't get the clients to come in. What can I do to change that and get more clients?
We have to change the messaging. What's the messaging? It has to speak directly to their pain point and you position you as a solution. So, and SEO terms, on-screen text, Bend, Oregon, what you're saying, Bend, Oregon, caption, Bend, Oregon, so that we're not just hitting broad views, we're hitting and targeting local people. And every single post should say, Bend, Oregon, Brazilian waxing, book with me, give them the next step. If we're not giving them the next step, they're not going to take it. So asking for the book, ask for the follow.
I love that. I've seen a couple questions that are similar here, so I'll kind of paraphrase, which is, if I had to kind of like pick an area to focus on Instagram, stories, static posts, videos, like what's most important, and like how would you kind of think about the balance of those three things?
Okay, I'm sorry. That's going to be like, if you're not already on TikTok, then forget about Instagram and prioritize TikTok first. You guys, TikTok is the discovery platform. You can target locally so easily. So don't even worry about Instagram until you've got TikTok nailed. If your goal is to get new clients in for services, TikTok all the way. Tag your location in every single one. Okay, and then if you're going over to Instagram, Reels always get a little bit more views, but you want to be really good about targeting. And then carousels are just low effort and can do well. But I'm telling you, please don't sleep on TikTok, you guys.
Great advice. It's the wave of the future, so don't forget about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kayla had a question I've seen come up in other webinars, which is, I don't want to promote a lot of discounts and percents off. What else can I do to kind of draw in clients, get them to book now, and so on?
Yeah, just I mean, I have a new client promo, so that's what I always push people towards. And I don't do a bunch of discounts or promotions. It's just I have my new client promo. So I'm constantly talking about that. Besides that, then what makes you unique? Showcase what makes you unique. Showcase the client experience and talk about that. But I really highly encourage having a new client promo and then having a package available for them, and your upsell is the package. That's the easiest way, because I know that once they come in, they won't want to go anywhere else. So it's like it creates that low friction, right? GlossGenius booking makes low friction. My new client promo makes low friction. What do they have to lose? Just get them in the door. So that's what I really focus on, is just, hey, you have nothing to lose. It's $35. Come in. If it's not the best wax you've ever had, I'll refund you. I actually don't say that very often,
but so. And I also think, memberships, packages, by the way, guys, if you maybe checked out GlossGenius in the past, haven't checked this out recently, this is something that we do offer through the platform, which can be, to Bree's point, a great way to kind of seal the deal with people and keep them locked in and recurring in those rebookings moving forward. So hot tip there. Yes. Okay, guys, so many questions. We simply cannot get to all of them, which I am so sorry for. But I hope that everybody is coming away from this event with a lot of really, really great inspiration. I feel like I am. So hopefully we've all learned from Bree, learned from each other. I want to just really quickly remind you one last time, if you haven't tried us out yet at GlossGenius, maybe you did a while ago, haven't checked us out in a while, really, I highly recommend check it out, find ways to kind of automate the admin, get some good kind of basic and even more advanced marketing systems in place for your business so that you can focus on the more complicated stuff like social media strategy, like we've been talking about. Obviously, that requires some brain power. So simplify the rest, get something that's going to work for you 24/7. That is my best advice to you all. But before we go, I just want to say, Bree, thank you so incredibly much for your time and expertise. This was so fun.
Yes, no, I had so much fun. I wish we had another hour. I just love talking about this stuff. Thank you guys for having me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Bree. Thanks so much to everybody in the audience. Last note, reminder, we are going to be sharing out this recording, so do not fret. We will, get back to you with that. But I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your day, and thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.